Have you ever been hiking in the mountains, the sun just starting to set, when you suddenly feel eyes on you? You turn your head, and standing on the ridge is a massive shadowy figure, cloaked and motionless, staring silently in your direction. Then, in the blink of an eye, it vanishes. For centuries, travelers in California's Santa Lucia Mountains have told of encounters with mysterious beings known as the Dark Watchers. Silent observers, tall, faceless silhouettes that watch from the cliffs and ridges, never speaking, never moving closer, and yet somehow always present. This is one of California's oldest and eeriest legends, blending history, folklore, and modern eyewitness accounts into a mystery that refuses to go away. The Santa Lucia Mountains stretch along California's rugged central coast, cutting a dramatic line through Big Sur, with sheer cliffs plunging into the Pacific Ocean. The mountains themselves have always carried an air of mystery. Fog rolls in without warning, shadows stretch long across the canyons, and isolation can play tricks on the mind. Spanish settlers in the 1700s were among the first to write down stories of tall, cloaked beings spotted on the ridgelines. They called them Los Vigilantes Oscuros, the Dark Watchers. According to these early accounts, the figures would appear at dusk, watching silently from high above, before fading away as the light disappeared. But the story may go back even further. Some researchers believe the Chumash people, who lived in the region for thousands of years, had legends of similar beings. They spoke of mountain spirits that observed humans, sometimes as protectors, sometimes as omens. While details are scarce, the overlap is intriguing. A continuity of shadowy watchers passed from native folklore into Spanish legend, and finally into California culture. Descriptions of the Dark Watchers are surprisingly consistent. They are usually immensely tall, 7 to 10 feet high. They wear dark hooded cloaks or wide-brimmed hats, and they stand perfectly still on cliffs or ridges. Witnesses say they never move closer, never make a sound. They simply watch, and when approached, they vanish, either melting into the shadows or disappearing the moment a person looks away. Some people claim the Dark Watchers carry staffs or walking sticks. Others say they are completely featureless, like solid silhouettes cut from shadow. One of the earliest literary mentions comes from Robinson Jeffers, a poet of California's Central Coast. In his 1937 poem, Such Counsels You Gave to Me, he describes the Dark Watchers as looming, silent figures that haunt the ridges at dusk. A year later, John Steinbeck included them in his short story Flight. He wrote of travelers who always felt as though the Watchers were present, standing silently in the hills, never interfering, never speaking, but always there. But it's not just literature. Modern hikers, hunters, and campers continue to report sightings. One hiker in Big Sur described feeling a sudden chill and looking up to see a towering cloaked figure watching him from a ridge. As he raised his binoculars for a better look, the figure dissolved into the air. Another account comes from a group of backpackers who, while resting near a canyon, saw several Dark Watchers lined up along the ridge above them. The figures stood still for minutes, silently observing. The moment the hikers pointed and spoke about them, the shadows faded. Some encounters are described as terrifying, filling the witness with a sense of dread or paralysis. Others feel strangely calming, as if the Dark Watchers are neutral guardians, simply monitoring travelers as they pass through the mountains. Skeptics argue there are natural explanations for the phenomenon. One theory involves the Brocken specter, a rare optical illusion where the low sun casts a person's shadow onto clouds or fog, making it appear gigantic and looming. Hikers in high, misty areas have often mistaken their own magnified shadows for strange beings. Another explanation is psychological. The Santa Lucia Mountains are remote, rugged, and often foggy. Fatigue, dehydration, or isolation can create hallucinations, the mind conjuring figures out of shadows and rock formations. There's also the possibility of infrasound, low-frequency sound waves produced by wind and ocean currents. Infrasound has been shown to cause feelings of unease, dread, or even hallucinations in some people. That could explain why so many witnesses describe not just seeing the Dark Watchers, but also feeling an overwhelming sense of being watched. But for those who dismiss the scientific explanations, the Dark Watchers remain a deeply paranormal mystery. Some say they are spirits of ancient peoples, still haunting the land. Others claim they are guardians of the mountains, watching to ensure travelers show respect. More recent theories link them to the phenomenon of shadow people, the mysterious, dark humanoid figures seen all over the world, often in bedrooms during sleep paralysis or in haunted locations. Are the Dark Watchers simply a regional version of the same phenomenon? And then there's the more exotic speculation that they are interdimensional beings flickering between realities, only visible in certain light or conditions. The fact that they vanish instantly when approached only fuels these theories. Interestingly, the Dark Watchers are not unique. Around the globe, mountain cultures have their own stories of silent watchers. In the Andes, some travelers speak of tall mountain spirits that observe but never interfere. In parts of Europe, hikers report the feeling of being watched by shadowy figures at dusk, particularly in misty alpine passes. And of course, the idea of mysterious, cloaked watchers appears throughout folklore, from hooded reapers to the shadowy hat man, reported in modern paranormal encounters. The Dark Watchers may be California's version of a much older, universal archetype, the silent shadow that observes humanity from just beyond the veil. So what are they really? Are the Dark Watchers a trick of the light, a mirage cast by the sun and fog across the ridges of Big Sur? Or are they something older, something watching from the mountains, since long before settlers came to California? To this day, hikers in the Santa Lucia Mountains are warned, if you see a cloaked figure standing on the ridge, do not approach. Do not shout, simply look once, acknowledge it, and keep walking. Because whether they are illusions, guardians, or something beyond human understanding, one thing is certain: the Dark Watchers are always watching.